The City of Lloydminster has a new asset management policy that's meant to help the city better care for city infrastructure. Council was first briefed on the new policy in February and approved it early this month. The asset management policy empowers the city to make logical and informed decisions when it comes to life cycle planning of city assets. The goal is to bring consistency and ensures resources are allocated effectively.
With the asset management tool and the policy in place, we're bringing a lot of those under one roof, making sure that it's consistent between departments and working as a team.
The policy lays out the need to accurately track the city's assets, implement a framework with plans to manage the city key asset, and meet legislative reporting and financial planning requirements. Mayor Albert says the new rule will standardize the city's approach to infrastructure evaluations.
We can go out and plow snow today, we can fix a water line tomorrow, but making sure that we're planning for long-term management of assets. And we've just went through a series of buildings in the last couple of years as the past council and the council of today. So those are parts of asset management that will come under one roof, and hopefully it will become much more standardized as how we approach building evaluations, street evaluations, water and sewer line evaluations.
A new website is looking to open opportunities for aspiring athletes. As Tate Lakecraft reports, it could be a game changer.
GMTM, otherwise known as Game Time, is a social networking platform that's changing the way in which athletes are noticed. As founder and former D1 quarterback Connor Dietz explains, the idea isn't hard to wrap your head around.
LinkedIn for sports. That is probably the most simple way to put it, where there are organizations that offer opportunities to athletes on GMTM every single day.
Since kicking off in 2019, Game Time has secured partnerships with the U.S. Olympic Committee, NCAA Scouting Services, as well as Volleyball Canada. In the case of the latter, the platform has already changed the recruitment process.
Volleyball Canada is now able to run tryouts, digital tryouts, throughout all provinces where any athlete can participate and get in front of Volleyball Canada, regardless of geography, income potential or demographics, really any background challenges.
With 20-plus sports and athletes ranging from 10 to 30 years old, the platform is still growing. For the former D1 quarterback, Game Time is about one thing.
We've used our platform and our technology to essentially leave no athlete behind and let any athlete participate from anywhere around the globe at any time.
For Primetime Local News, I'm Tate Lakecraft.
5,476. That's the number of kindness-themed donuts sold at the Sobeys Bakery throughout February. And in this week's Beyond the Classroom, we learn more about how the money from the sugary success will go back to the community. In February, there was many kindness-themed activities throughout the community, but at Mother Teresa Early Childhood Education Center, their focus was donuts. Each class designed their own sweet treats to be sold for a good cause, and after over 5,000 donuts, 200 pounds of icing, and 10 pounds of sprinkles, the grand total was over $3,000.
The bakery at Sobeys made our creations come to life, so they even copied the exact icing color that we had. They put the toppings on, and then we sold them, and $2.50 from every package sold went back into our local organizations that each of the classes had chosen.
Sobeys started working with Kindop after the idea was brought up at the end of 2021 to give back to the community. The bakery staff was excited to be a part of the project and create the students' designs. When it came time to sell the treats, Sobeys was surprised at how many residents stopped by.
I'd done some projections before we got started just to order product and that kind of stuff. This blew my projections out of the water from what we were expecting to do. Day one, we did a run in the morning of donuts, and by the afternoon, it was like, oh my gosh, okay, we're going back. I gotta go do more donuts. I gotta go back to work. They were just gone. And people would stop in and buy like stacks.
The donuts were sold with the intention to spread kindness around the community and inspire random acts of kindness. Each class picked which organization they wanted their money to go towards, including the SPCA, the Interval Home Society, and the Rescue Squad. Kindop says students couldn't stop talking about donuts.
It was so great to receive all of the pictures and photos of the kids going into the store, buying their donuts. They were so happy, or they were packed in their lunch kits. They would even tell other people that were walking by the donuts, like, hey, this is my donut. So that was really cute. We heard a couple of those stories as well. So
that was a look at this week's Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students are challenged to go beyond the classroom, so when industry knocks, they're ready to thrive. Learn more at lakelandcollege.ca.
Northern Lights Public Schools wants community feedback on renaming one of its schools. Our Nicole Gruber spoke with NLPS and Cold Lake Middle School on the proposed new name.
Today for Primetime Local News, I'm joined with the president of Cold Lake Middle School and the board chair of NLPS to talk about their renaming of Cold Lake Middle School and how they're asking for community feedback on that. Thank you so much for joining us here today, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
So first off, what was the decision behind looking into renaming the school and how did this process start?
Well, we had to go through a configuration process here in Cold Lake. We had some of our schools were facing enrollment challenges and capacity challenges. So we had a great amount of help from the community members, our parents and staff members. It was quite a long process. It ended in the spring, and it led us to what will be a 3-year transition process to address some of those challenges. So this school, Cold Lake Middle School, which is currently a 5 to 8, will become a 6 to 9 beginning in September. So I know that they've worked really hard with the students that are going to come from Nelson Heights School, Art Smith Aviation Academy, and the students that are already here to sort of begin to build a new community. And part of that process was working together to come up with suggestions for a new name, for a new mascot, for new colors. Is there more to add?
No, that's pretty much kind of the whole process. And we started this in terms of the student involvement. We started back in November, and we have a student focus group that's been meeting regularly. And our communication officer has been helping us with a student engagement website that about 400 students have been involved in it. And yeah, they have been going in and making suggestions and voting and interacting with each other, and it's been a fantastic process to build this new school community.
So the students of the school were asked to vote on the new name. Were these students given options to vote on, or were they supposed to offer up suggestions themselves?
When we first met, the student leadership team met, and we talked about what will they need in order to make them feel really welcomed here at the new school, and what would it take in order for them to feel like they're a big part of this school community? So they made a whole lot of suggestions, and changing the name was one of the items on the list. So then the students came up with, they were given an opportunity to suggest multiple names based on the school division's parameter. There's a admin procedure that they're following. So, it has to follow certain guidelines. So they came up probably with 50 or 60 different names. And then from there, we've got basically going through the guidelines and narrow it down to our top 4. And then students were voting. Oh, sorry, it was top 6. And they voted. And so we presented our top 2 to our trustees. And then from there, basically, it was the top name that was chosen by the students that was submitted. And that's now out in the public for community engagement. So it's all students, not us.
And now you guys are looking to the community for feedback. So what sort of feedback are you guys hoping to hear from the community?
So we have, as part of our administrative procedure, the next step is to have a 30-day engagement period where community members can have their say. We use our Engage NLPS website for that. And I believe there's a few different questions there that people can answer, and there's an opportunity to provide feedback. So that will run until April 5th. And then once that has closed, the Board of Trustees will review the feedback that we've received, and then a final decision will be made.
And lastly, is there anything else that you would like to mention on behalf of the school to the community about this name change?
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I know we are very proud of how the students and the community have come together for the whole process, from the configuration all the way to the renaming process. It's been fantastic to see how people are coming together to do what's best for the students of the school. It's exciting.
Well, thank you again for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Now for a first look at tonight's forecast, we go to Shelby Clark. Thanks so much, Jasmine. Now taking a first look at your weather forecast here in the border city. We are sitting at -14, but with that wind chill, we are seeing some stronger winds today, 32 kilometers an hour, coming from the west side there with feeling like around -25. So we are seeing a cooler day today. If you can walk outside, you can feel it, but that sun is helping warm things up, and it is giving some beautiful views out there. So hopefully everybody is still enjoying the day so far. Now switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, we are seeing quite a bit of a double-digit temperatures compared to earlier on in the week. So we have cooled down just a bit, with most spots seeing around -12 degrees, -9 up in Lac La Biche, while Edmonton is sitting at -8, -11 in Vegreville, while Marwayne and Wainwright sitting at -14 degrees, -13 in Vermilion, and down in Provost they are seeing a slightly cooler day, seeing -15. Now switching over to our Saskatchewan side here, they are seeing some slightly cooler temperatures compared to the Alberta side, a couple degrees cooler with those double-digit temperatures, -12 in Isle Lacrosse and Pearson, while it was -14 in Green Lake, as well as down in Macklin, -13 degrees in Meadow Lake. St. Walburg is sitting at -16, and Maidstone and North Battleford both sitting at -15. And for North Battleford, they will be going down to a low of -19, so they will be cooling down just slightly for their evening low, so not too bad. They will be seeing a couple clouds in sight, and tomorrow they will be seeing another kind of slightly cooler day at -14 throughout the day, but they will be seeing a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. Switching now to Cold Lake. Overnight, they'll be going down to a low of -17, so they will be cooling down a couple degrees as well from that -12 mark. Tomorrow, they will be seeing -16, so they will be seeing a slightly cooler day for the day tomorrow, and they will be seeing a little bit more sun. And for us in the border city, we'll be going down to a low of -19, so we will be seeing a slightly better evening low compared to last night. Tomorrow we will be seeing -14, so around the same temperature as today, but tomorrow we will be seeing a high chance of some flurries that will start off, so get ready to see a high chance of some flurries that will begin throughout the morning tomorrow. And now looking at one of our photo submissions, thank you to everyone that submitted some beautiful photos to our Facebook page. You can continue to do so throughout the week. I will use them on my weather segments, but this is a beautiful sunset photo over Bud Miller Park, so thank you for this photo submission. And that's all I got for now. We'll have more news coming up after the break. The Lloydminster Bobcats continue their playoff push, now on home ice. Last night, the team picked up their first win of the postseason, 8-5. Evan Kenny has more on the series thus far.
Heading into Tuesday night, March 11th of 2018 was the last time the Centennial Civic Center hosted an AJHL playoff game. The Bobcats returned to home ice for Game 3 of their first-round matchup against the Drayton Valley Thunder. While the team had a good start to the game, the score didn't reflect the play. Midway through the second period, the Cats were down 5-1. This is when the turnaround began.
Just a matter of driving the puck to the net and going to the net when you get rewarded on it. And then some offensive zone time, I thought played a key factor into it when we just had momentum where it was shift after shift to hold them into that.
4 Bobcats had multi-point nights, including 20-year-old forward Max Stewart.
I think we did a great job from our top players all the way throughout our entire team. Everyone put on their work boots, and that was just unreal.
To see those guys get rewarded in the crowd that's been behind them for 3 years, through the lows and through the highs tonight, you're just proud of their effort.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, awesome crowd. And yeah, crazy. I mean, this being our first playoffs, kind of didn't know what to expect, but everything I could have dreamed of.
Through the first 3 games, the home team has walked away with each victory.
I think for us here, we've been in them, we've been so close, and to go through a little bit of adversity today here and come out on the right side of it, I think it's a part where, you can build momentum off of it, you feel better about yourselves, and you know that the work that you've been doing of late, you got rewarded for. And now it's just a matter to keep the ball rolling in the right direction.
With the win, the series will now go to a minimum of 5 games. Game 4 will be here Wednesday night in Lloydminster before heading to Drayton Valley for Friday. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now we will be taking a look at your pet pictures. You can submit the pictures of your pets to our Facebook page throughout the week for your chance to win a Pet Pad gift card on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
We're back this week with Stephanie Dobson. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. Now, Stephanie, last week we talked a little bit about spousal support. There is really a lot of things to discuss when it comes to this issue. And today we're going to talk about once spousal support is in place, how does it change as time passes? That's the first question. How does it change as the circumstances change around spousal support?
That's a really good starting point, Stacey. And there's this topic, of course, is very complicated. So I'll try to keep it really simple for our viewers today. So once spousal support is documented by spouses, that's either by court order or by agreement, it's going to continue until some new condition arises. So today I'm going to cover 4 ways that spousal support can change. So the first way is easy. It's where there's a specific hurdle that's crossed. So you and your former spouse may have agreed or even been court ordered to pay support, for example, for a certain number of months or years, or even until a certain event occurs, like remarriage, job retraining, those sorts of things. If there is this stated endpoint, then there's often a couple of options for how that endpoint will look. So it may state that it's going to be reviewed at that time, meaning looked again, based on the circumstances, or it could end forever. So of course, the language of the documentation is really important to make sure that you know exactly what the future of spousal support is going to look like. So another way it can change is, of course, if you get a new court order, which changes the terms of the spousal support, or 2 spouses can, of course, agree to change spousal support. So lastly, I just want to raise this one final issue of death. So death can also affect spousal support. So in the event of the death of the recipient, spousal support will end. But if the paying spouse of spousal support dies, then it can get really complicated as to whether spousal support will continue to be payable by the deceased estate or by other sources. There might be life insurance proceeds or other sources of funds that could continue spousal support into the future.
So how does a person know if, in fact, they're eligible for a change or an end to their support?
So I want to distinguish 2 types of changes to support. So to be eligible to end or change support, the applicant needs to fit into one of 2 types of situations. So they will either need to be eligible for a review of support or a variation of support. So those are 2 legal terms. Let's go through each of them now. So if support is to be reviewed, that means that generally something about the award or the agreement needs to be looked at afresh in the future. So it may be the entire question of spousal support. So we went through this last week about entitlement, how much, how long, or it just may be just one particular part of the spousal support award that needs to be looked at. So in any event, it's about a fresh look at support based on a future set of circumstances. So how is self-sufficiency going? How is that career advancement or the training going? So secondly, if there's a variation of spousal support, so again, that's another legal term, it means that the person applying has to prove that there's been what's called, and again, this is another legal term, a material change of circumstances to justify that request. So of course, this can start to get very complicated, but it's important for viewers to know that there's hurdles to cross to be able to change support at a future date.
Stephanie, you mentioned a material change of circumstances. Can we talk a little bit about that? What exactly is that?
So again, it's another legal term, just like the word entitlement last week that we talked about. But this material change of circumstances is required to be eligible to vary spousal support. So the Supreme Court of Canada has weighed in on this question, and the standard has created a standard meaning for this term. So it means that the change is substantial, continuing, and if those circumstances were known at the time of the original order, it would have likely resulted in a different order. So let's go through some examples. Change of income for one or both spouses, losing a job and being unable to continue payment, retirement, the recipient spouse's income now exceeds the paying spouse's income where that wasn't the case before, self-sufficiency has been or ought to have been achieved, remarriage of the recipient spouse, or perhaps on an application of the recipient spouse, child support now has maybe ended, and then the recipient spouse wants to increase that support.
All right, Stephanie, well, once again, a lot of information to go through, and we'll be back again next week to continue our conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I'm joined here today for Primetime Local News with Odian Welch, the Mental Health Program Coordinator with the Africa Center. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Of course, no, we're glad to be able to have you on here. Now, we are speaking on Black Mental Health Week and the center's programming as well. And I just wanted to start off with, residents here in the border city that may not be aware and get a general understanding of what the Africa Center is all about.
Perfect. Well, it's great. I joke that like your border town, it's small but mighty. And we do so much for the community as we are the largest Pan-African organization in Western Canada. So we offer a variety of programming that's open to all individuals. It's just taught from a Black lens. And kind of a joy of pandemic, it was really easy to stretch out our reach a lot more. But we are throughout Alberta in various ways, including entrepreneurship program, mental health programs, which I lead, employment programs, you name it, it exists there. And it's taught in a literally a culturally appropriate lens, but it's open to all individuals.
And I know there might be a possibility of, residents here and possibly in Edmonton as well, that they just may not be aware of this week of Black Mental Health Week and the importance of it with the programming and whatnot. Can we kind of talk about what this week is kind of all about?
Perfect. Well, this is actually the decade for Black people. It was deemed that by the UN, and not a lot of people know that. And so Black Mental Health Week is, we think about Bell Let's Talk Day, but Bell Mental Health Week is something that's recognized across Alberta by the Public Health Agency of Canada and other resources to really showcase the disparities and the barriers that still exist within Black mental health and allowing individuals to access it, but also expanding the reach, including the conversations, showcasing the differences and what can exist within our culture. There's so many different aspects. So there's like Mental Health Day, which is the first Monday of March, and then it proceeds out to the rest of the week.
And I know with the center being based in Edmonton, we were talking a bit earlier about this, of how it does, you guys do contribute to the whole province here in Alberta, and the center has many programs and events planned for this weekend, as you were saying, from the starting of March. I wanted to get the word out to residents here as well that, of course, may not be aware. What's the main topics of discussion planned for Black communities right now?
Oh, there's so many, but for our focus for the week, I have my cheat sheet up. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're doing Black representation in mental health and just the resources that exist and the resources that people are still looking for. And then on Friday, we're touching on the healthy impact of Black community programming. And so what it looks like, kind of destigmatizing, demystifying, getting through that. And then we're also promoting our mentorship, which is something that is very unique because you don't have to be in the same city to be mentored. We have, I was telling you before we recorded that we had mentees and mentors in different cities, and they all had the best experiences. And now those mentees have jobs or going into careers, and it's a very unique experience. And so it's really promoting that and the various activities that exist. And on Sunday that just passed, we had our conference. And so we brought together resources from across Alberta to showcase what is mental health, what is preventative mental health, what is happening, what are communities doing with research that is done, and even showcasing the next generation. So we had student unions come out and show us their dance classes, their Afrobeats dance classes that they've created, since dance is a form of your mental health.
For others interested, like here in the border city, that may not be able to make it there for those in-person events, are there some virtual events and programming that people can register?
Yes, actually, all of our stuff is still online, except for our daycare. Can't do that online, but they can go to our Facebook page, live streams the majority of our events. And the ones that aren't live streamed, you can go to our website, africacenter.ca/events, and see all the upcoming events. We have paint workshops, button bowl workshops. As summer approaches, we have fishing workshops. Don't ask me to fish, please. It ends bad. But they can go online. They can also check our Instagram and Facebook for those upcoming events. And if they subscribe to our email list, they'll see our events. And we also send out events that other organizations are doing that are within Alberta as well.
Perfect. Well, I'm really glad we're able to get the word out there for anyone that are interested in this mental health program and everything that the Africa Center has to offer. Is there anything else I may have missed out on that you want to add?
Mental health is for everybody, and we really all need to embrace, regardless of our gender, sexuality, or culture, embrace learning about what is mental health and how we can support our mental health in the various ways and all the options that exist, because it is just not prescriptions. There's so many ways that we can be healthy. And as we exit this pandemic, looking into all resources is what's really going to strengthen us as a society and as a people and as a culture.
Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Odian.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News this hour. You can catch us again after the break.